Hello everyone to the Cin7 e-commerce integrations webinar. I'm your host Michael, and with me I have Kelly, who is another integration specialist who will be assisting us during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And later on we'll be joined by Jennifer from Starshipit, and she'll run through some Starshipit information afterwards. So first of all, how to contact Cin7, just a bit of housekeeping here. So we have a help site, help.cin7.com, which you can go to for all of our documents on how to use integrations or Cin7 as a whole. You can search your queries there, and it has some other useful functionality as well. So in here, if you want to find something, you go to integration apps. If you want to find a specific integration, in this case, Shopify, and you get some helpful information. We have a bunch of articles here. Otherwise, if you have something specific, you can just type it up in the search bar. On top of that, we also have an updates page where you can see all the new features on Cin7. We have the contact support where you can submit a support ticket, and the status page, which is where you can come to see response times. If you're feeling like Cin7 is running a bit slow, you can come here to check what's going on, as well as if there are any outages currently happening. So in today's webinar, we'll be going over integrations, mainly Shopify. If you are using another integration, something like Magento or BigCommerce, a lot of this information is transferable. It's just Shopify is one of the more popular ones, so we'll be using that as an example. The main differences would mainly just be for errors. They'll return different error statements, as well as just other key little workflow things. But yeah, and this will be covering the dashboard, kind of what it does, how it functions, going through the settings page for all the different types of settings, as well as the corresponding functions that they relate to. We won't be addressing every single setting. We'll be just covering the main sort of workflow ones that we suggest having on. So anything specific to your workflow, please do go through help articles on the settings page to make sure you understand everything if you notice something that I don't bring up that you think might be useful to you. So we'll start off with the dashboard. So when you install Shopify integration on Cin7, you'll be greeted with the dashboard. This will have a bunch of boxes which represent the different functions and modules of the integration. The main thing here is to look out for the orange links. So these will represent different functions or lists that you can use in the integration. So my examples here in the pink boxes are ones which will provide you a list of information, be it the errors for orders or products, or a list of products that, for example, have low stock or order lines that are not mapped. So this is just a snippet, or if you expand it, an extended list of those products or orders. And then in green, you've got the actual functions which will push or receive data to and from Cin7. So in this case, update dispatched orders and update recent modified pricing. Within these brackets, you'll have a number. This number represents the number of products or orders that will run and be updated for that given function. So if I hop over to the Shopify dashboard now, this is generally how it'll look. If you do not want to, say, update stock and you don't need this module here, we'll go over it in the settings, but for the most part, wherever you see a big orange reference, so here products, if you untick this, it will disable those product settings or stock settings and disable those corresponding boxes on the dashboard just in case you don't need them. Also on the dashboard, there are these handy dandy little success or failure or error or just kind of little indicators on how that function ran. So in this case, if I ran update recent modified stock, it came back as success. You can actually hover over these to get some more information in terms of how many it ran for, how many went through successfully, how many through errors, and what time it ran. So if you ever have a failed here or an error, you can hover over this to get a bit more information. And then that corresponding information should be detailed further in either stock update errors for products, be it uploading products or updating stock. And then for orders, over in order status errors when you try to update orders. So now we'll just go through the settings. So we'll do it in chunks. So first we'll do the product settings and then do product functions on Shopify. Then go through stock, do the stock setting functions, and then order settings and the order functions. So for products, this will be establishing how you want your products to come through to Cin7 and go through to Shopify. And the main key ones here are upload products, upload product options, update products, and update pricing. So before we even do things for settings, we want to make sure our products on Cin7, if you are initially starting with Cin7 as the master for these products, is to make sure they're set up correctly. So here I have a couple of examples of products that I'm going to be using with Shopify. So if I jump over to Hot Wings, I want to make sure on the far right that under channels, the corresponding channel that I want it to integrate with, this being Shopify, is ticked. This lets Cin7 know that, hey, we want to link this product with Shopify. We also want to make sure that style code has been filled in, and for all your different product options, that they each have a code. And if you happen to have a size product, that they all have unique size codes as well. If you are using options, so option 1 and option 2, that the option label has something in it, and then if there's a name in that option, that all the corresponding ones beneath that have a unique option as well. Setting up this way should mean that all your options are unique, have codes, have labels, have names, and then you shouldn't have any issues in terms of getting your products uploaded or downloaded. So going back to the settings page, we'll just go through the product settings for now. So the ones you want to mainly look out for is upload products to Shopify. If you're wanting to use Cin7 as the master and your Shopify is empty, this would be the one you would use, where this would then allow you to take your Cin7 products and upload them to Shopify. For update products, this is where you already have your products mapped from Cin7 to Shopify, but say you've made a change on Cin7 and you want that change to be reflected on Shopify, you would enable this setting, which then comes up with field mapping. Now, this is a very important setting to be aware of, because when you update a product from Cin7 to Shopify, it will override the corresponding data on Shopify. So if you have, say for instance, on Shopify, your body HTML, which is your description, if you have that on Shopify and it's different to Cin7, if this is still ticked, it will override what is on Shopify. So you just need to make sure that whatever is turned on here is definitely what you want to then update from Cin7 to Shopify and replace what is there. Next, we have the update pricing. So Cin7 can push two pricings, one being the standard price and then the other a special price for a promotion. So if you have different price tiers, you can select them from here. By default, it is set to your retail price tier, which would usually be the leftmost price tier on your products module, but you can assign it to any of your other ones. And then special price, again, defaults to the Cin7 special price. Now, to push special price across on Cin7, you do need to make sure that on the products module, you've assigned it a special price, it has a start date, and a number of days. This lets Cin7 know that you do indeed wish to have the special price active, and so then we'll push through. If you just have a special price in there, it won't actually register, so please do make sure you have a valid start date and number of days in there as well. So if you want to map your products, that would mean that they exist both on Cin7 and Shopify. Now, the way that we map products is through the product codes or barcodes, but that's always secondary to first looking at the codes. So in this case, on Cin7, I have my hot wings all set up with their individual codes. And if I hop over to Shopify on my products here, I also have hot wings, and they each have variants where they have corresponding codes as well. So this is what we'll be looking for when I download products to map them. So the process for that will just be running download products. In this case, if you know that you have recently made products and it was after a given date listed here, you can run this one. But in this case, I'm just going to import all, which will take all products on your Shopify and then try find corresponding ones on Cin7. If you have a lot of products, this can take some time, but given my small amount, it goes pretty quickly. So as it says, this gives a sample of what was downloaded, and it also gives you just a summary of how many was downloaded. Currently, the mapping process has not been done. This just gets the data onto Cin7. Next thing we want to do is just click Next. Upon clicking Next, it then runs the mapping function. And then here, we can see that no new products were added, but there were existing price options linked, and number 3. And that will correspond to the 3 matched hot wings. So at this point, it's completed the mapping process. So I can just go back to dashboard, view map products, and here I have my hot wings. So what this represents is the name on Cin7, the Cin7 code, its option, and then you have the Shopify ID and inventory item ID. These last two are the unique Shopify identifiers. And so a good way to make sure that this is the correct product is you can always just run the spy on Shopify to make sure it is the correct one. Going back to downloading products, there will be a point at which if there are products that do not match, then they can come up in custom mappings. So in this case, on Shopify, I have a product called lettuce, where its SKU is lettuce. However, on Cin7, it is listed as 0010. So in this case, when I download products, it's not going to automatically assign those two together because the codes do not match. However, upon going through custom mappings, you can download a spreadsheet of all the products that did not automatically map, and you can assign it a Cin7 code and then re-import that. And what that will do, as I've already done it previously, it will assign the 0010 lettuce from Cin7 to a custom map code of lettuce, which is the Shopify code. So if for whatever reason you have the same product on both platforms, but they have different SKUs, and you don't need to or don't desire to have them have the same SKU, then you can just do a custom map instead, and this is how they'll appear. So you can kind of tell the difference between products that have the same SKU because they won't have a custom map code. If you're mapping off barcode, then it should also make the barcode appear in the custom map code field as well. So next would be the upload products. So in this case, on Shopify, I have chocolate cake, hot wings, and lettuce. But on Cin7, I also have chef's apron, which I want to link with Shopify, but it's currently not there. This is also a size product, so I can have one of these as an example, where I have my size grid, and each size has its own unique code. So then I can just go to upload products. It will list all the products on Cin7 that have the corresponding integration channel ticked and are currently not mapped. So in this case, I have all my chef's aprons here. I can just go upload products. We'll give me a progress bar. And then under upload products, it said success. And it tells me one product of one was successful, 0 errors, and a timestamp. So now if I go on to Shopify, give it a refresh, I now have my chef's apron. And it lists all the unique SKUs for the different sizes as well. Now, by default, when you upload a product to Shopify from Cin7, it will appear as unavailable. So you just need to make sure that when you are uploading products, that you then go and make that product active. Now, next would be uploading product options. So going back to Hot Wings, you'll notice that on Shopify, I only have 3 of the options available, which is ranch, barbecue, and spicy. However, on Cin7, I also have one which is buffalo. Now to get this flavor also over onto Shopify, I can use the upload product options function. So this will identify a mapped product where there is an option which is missing from the mapping list. And here it shows up, so I can just run this function as well. It's gone through. And now it also appears on Shopify with the corresponding code. And anytime you do a upload or a download of products, you can always go back to view map products to make sure that the product is now showing up in this list with the correct Cin7 code to the correct Shopify ID. Now, if you have a product on Shopify that you are retiring, but you're replacing with a new version, so say you just don't want to edit the existing one, you have a new product with all its new updated information, but it's still going to relate to an existing Cin7 product that is already in this list. What you'd want to do first is come to this list, find that product, and for in this case, I'll use lettuce as an example. So I was going to make a new lettuce product on Shopify and give it the correct code of 0010 instead of lettuce. I would want to make sure that I first delete this product mapping. So this tells Cin7, hey, we no longer want this product linked to the corresponding product on Shopify. And so when you delete that, you can then remove or alter that product on Shopify, and then you can download products to then get it remapped. If you don't do this, then you can run into an issue where Cin7 then throws an error when you try update stock, because that link will still exist. And if you've disabled or removed that product from Shopify, we will still have that ID, and we'll be telling Shopify, hey, can you update stock for this ID? And Shopify will go, well, I can't because I've deleted it, so I can't find it anymore, and it'll just throw an error. We'll cover errors a bit later, but again, if you do get those errors, you'll see them as stock update errors, and it'll give you a bit more information on which product threw it and why. So, stock settings. This is also a bit of a big one. And the main things to cover here is auto sync stock. So that would be whenever an order comes in from Shopify. If this is turned on, it will trigger the update recent modified stock, which is any stock from a given time will be put into this function and then updated. We also have get stock levels from. This is where you decide which of your Cin7 branches you want to pull stock from to push to Shopify. Stock levels to update would be, do you want to use stock available or stock on hand? And then buffer stock, which would be from those stock levels that you're going to update, do you want to subtract a certain amount of stock? So you can always have a bit of a reserve, so you're not using your full amount of stock. So the key one here, auto sync stock. For the most part, we recommend turning this on just so that Cin7 can continuously update Shopify when stock is adjusted. So you're never going to have the potential of overselling because stock just has been updated. If this isn't turned on, then it will rely on a manual press of update stock. For stock level, get stock levels from, by default, it's all branches. But if you have specific Shopify or e-commerce branches on Cin7 that you want to use, you can choose selected branches, and then it'll list your Cin7 branches here, and you pick the one that you want to use. Next is the stock levels you want to update. We generally recommend stock available, but if your workflow needs it, you can have stock on hand or other variants, including 7 days of ETD and incoming stock. The reason we recommend stock available is because if a order comes in from Shopify, generally it will come in as an open order, or if there are just any sort of back-end orders that you're making or from other modules. If it's an open order, it will affect stock available, whereas it will have to be completed and dispatched for it to affect stock on hand. So usually we say stock available because it is most likely the accurate representation of stock that aren't caught up in existing orders. And then subtract buffer stock. We have a variety of values for you to pick from if you want to then subtract that amount from the initial stock value you're pushing. So the functions related to stock, we have two, which is update recent modified stock and update all stock. The update all stock can be quite a big function that you think you might want to run all the time, but generally it's not necessary. What it will do, as it says, is take all the map products and push the Cin7 stock to Shopify. However, if you have many products, and we're talking, say, in the many thousands or even above that in the tens of thousands, this process will take a very long time. Whereas update recent modified stock will only adjust the products that have had recent stock movements. So say an order's come in or a purchase order's been made or even an adjustment, products related to those will end up in this function. So they will only update those, so it's far more efficient. One thing I missed for products is the pricing, I just noticed. So we have the update recent modified pricing. Similarly to update recent modified stock, only products that have been altered recently and that time stamp can be found on the settings page will show up here. And this just means that, so say you on Cin7 have set a special price now and you want that to go across. Once you've saved that product with its changes, you want to come here and update recent modified pricing. This will not run automatically. So you have to intentionally run this when you want to change products pricing. Order settings. Now this is the biggest section of the settings. There's a lot to go through here as it includes orders, inventory, and credit notes, as well as how it assigns customers and some accounting options. So there's quite a bit to go through. And this is where a lot of your business-specific workflow comes in. So I'll just be kind of going through the standard way you'd set it up. But there's quite a few options where you might go, oh, I'd actually set it to this instead, which is perfectly fine. If there's something I don't cover that you think is quite important to your workflow, maybe submit it as a question during the Q&A section, or if it's very specific and you want to discuss it privately, you can send in a support ticket and we can help you later on. So for orders, auto download orders. This is definitely something you want to turn on, as it will run on a scheduler. So what that means is every 5 minutes, we will ask Shopify, hey, are there any new orders that need to come down? If there are, we'll pull them in, and then we'll check again in 5 minutes, hey, are there any new orders? If there aren't any new orders to download in 5 minutes, we will then ask back in 10 minutes, and then 20, then 30, and it'll increase up to 2 hours. After the 2-hour time slot's been done, it'll go back to 5 minutes and start again. The reason we do this is just because integrations have a API call limit. And so if we're constantly asking, hey, do you have any orders? You will eventually hit that limit, of which case the integration will say, hey, basically you're spamming us, please stop. So we try to run it on a scheduler that makes sense. So having this ticked on, we'll download orders automatically. When an order downloads, it will then trigger that update recent modified stock function from before. So basically, orders come in, Cin7 recognizes the products, deducts stock from Cin7, and then runs the update stock function to push the newly adjusted stock back to Shopify. Then there's settings on how you want those orders to be set. So in this case, we have stage. Now, the Cin7 stages, there are many of them, but for the most part, this will depend on your workflow. Now, if you are using a shipping integration like Starship It, usually they'll be looking for fully picked, which is why I have it set here. So what this will do is the order will come in from Shopify, be set to fully picked, and then if you have a Starship It setup, it can go, oh, cool, there's an order from Shopify that's set to fully picked. Let's grab that and sync it over. Then there's credit notes. By default, this is turned off, so you just want to make sure it's ticked if you want Cin7 to download any refunds placed on relevant orders that have also been downloaded into Cin7. And you can set the accounting status accordingly. Update order status. This is if you are wanting to dispatch orders through Cin7 and then have that be updated back to Shopify. In case of adding, say, a carrier or a tracking code through a shipping integration that goes through Cin7, or you're just wanting to mark the order as fulfilled. We also have a scheduler set for that. And you can also have a bit of a checkbox thing of, does this order have a tracking code? So if you deal with shipping integrations and you only want to have an order be updated back to Shopify, if it has a tracking code, you can set this here. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Then we have inventory. This is how you set if you want an order to be dispatched or completed. So the setting yes will just be regardless of how the order is on Shopify, complete it on Cin7. So that would be assign stock to those products and complete it. If the product on that order does not have stock for it to be fulfilled, it will then show up as a completed sale made without stock. There is a corresponding report for that in the reports module. Yes, completed orders only. We'll check if the order on Shopify has been set as fulfilled. If that is the case, it will fulfill it on Cin7. If it can't fulfill it due to there not being enough stock, then it will not do so. However, that is where ignore stock option comes into it, where regardless, again, if it's a fulfilled order on Shopify, it will be marked as fulfilled. And then no, which is regardless of how the order is on Shopify, do not dispatch or complete it on Cin7, so it'll just come in as an open sales order. For branches, this is where your orders will download into. So while before for stock, you could select multiple branches to pull stock from, when it comes to downloading orders, through this, we can only assign it to a single branch. So usually this would be one that you would have your e-commerce stock in, or you do your dispatching from. However, we do have another system, which is route branch by country and stock. If you click configure branches, it will bring up this whole grid with other options. Now, this is too much to cover in this webinar and is a bit more advanced, but we do have help articles explaining how this works. But in short, you can set based on the delivery country and stock levels of respective orders and branches where it will be assigned to. If you have further questions on this, please do have a look on our help site as to how to set this up. And if you have further questions, please feel free to submit a support ticket. Then there's some settings on how to assign customers into Cin7 from those orders. Again, this is fairly workflow dependent on how you want to log your customer data on Cin7. So just have feel free to have a look through these options and set them accordingly. And then lastly, for orders, there's the accounts section, where the main two things are invoice options and default accounting status. Now, again, this is workflow dependent, but the two options under invoice options is allow batch invoices and import invoices individually. So allow batch invoices will mean orders from Shopify will not have an invoice date or invoice number assigned to them until they are either manually added on Cin7 or done through the batch invoices function on Cin7 as well. So if you just wanted to group all your sales for the day and just do a batch invoice, you would do it that way. Import invoices individually means when an order comes into Cin7, it will automatically be assigned an invoice number and invoice date. So again, depends on your workflow and how you want to handle it, but those are your two options there. And then for accounting status, depends on how you want them to come in and be dealt with by your accounting software. So then going back to the actual functions for the orders. For orders, it's fairly simple. There's basically 4 different functions you can have. You can have download orders, which if you've turned it on to do it automatically, you don't need to worry about too much. You have view mapped orders, which is basically the same as the view map products, but for orders, you have update dispatched orders, which is when you want to tell Shopify that, hey, these orders are fulfilled. Here are the fulfillment details or tracking information. And then that batch payments function that I referenced before, which is where it'll automatically group your Shopify orders that haven't been invoiced yet together so you can do it all in one go. So on Shopify, I just have a draft order that I'm just going to process so that I can then download into Cin7, and we can just kind of go over the couple of things that get set there and how it will come through. And then once it's come through, we can then do a credit note for it. Cool, so that's now run, and you can see if you just hover over here, it will give you some further information that it recognizes the member, so the contact on that order. So it's said it's updated as opposed to inserted a member. One order inserted, so it's recognizing it as a new order as opposed to updating an existing one. And then just the total of how many orders in total, which was just 1. And if I go to view mapped orders, I can now see that order ref is showing up here with its corresponding ID and the customer company name, as well as when it was imported. Now this imported date here is different to the created date. So the Shopify created date for that order will flow through to the Cin7 created date, whereas this one is just when did it come into Cin7. So again, due to that scheduler, you might see a bit of a time delay, or if you're not automatically downloading orders and you manually run it, it could also be even larger then. So if we just head over to the sales orders, we can see how it's come into Cin7. In this case, it's assigned the customer information, their delivery and billing address. Here's the created date of when it was made in Shopify. The product on that order, since it's been mapped, it has all the correct information coming through. And due to how I had the settings set up, the stage was set to fully picked. If I had the auto dispatch set to yes, then this date would be filled in and the quantity dispatch would also be filled in as well. Now, if I want to update this order back to Shopify, I need to make sure that it is fully dispatched, all the quantities are there. And in the case of if I want to update tracking information, I can put in a carrier and a tracking code. Now currently update dispatched orders has a 0 in it, so I just give it a refresh. And now it has a 1, so it's registered. Hey, there's been a mapped Shopify order that's been set to dispatched. It meets all the criteria. So now we can run this function and update it back to Shopify. So currently the order is unfulfilled, but now it has been fulfilled and completed. So now we can create a credit note from it, and we can see how it comes in. So again, you need to make sure credit note is enabled in the settings. And then when you do a refund, there's two ways this can go. So the main thing you want to look out for is this restock item tick box. If this is ticked, then Shopify is telling Cin7 that, hey, we should expect an item to be coming back. So you should then complete that credit note accordingly. So then Cin7 will indeed bring one item back into stock. If it is unticked, then this would just be a monetary refund where you're not receiving the item back into stock. So in this case, I will have the item restocked. You can adjust the value, but for the most part, you would do it accordingly. And once the refund's been made, again, if you have auto download orders turned on, the next time the scheduler runs, it will include this credit note and download it, but I'm just going to run it manually. And now if you hover over the success icon, you can see that it's added one credit notes inserted as well as one orders updated. So what this is doing, it's recognizing the original order that this credit note was created from. It creates that credit note and links it to that sales order. So if I head over to credit notes on Cin7, it has assigned the sales order reference as well as the product. And in this case, since I do want to receive the stock back into Cin7, I would apply -1 quantity moved, and then I can complete it. And then that would be completing the credit note. So the next one is errors. So as I mentioned earlier, this usually happens due to a mapping issue where either the product has not been mapped or is incorrectly mapped, be it to the wrong product or a no longer existing product on the integration. If that's the case, it would generally throw a not found error. And again, that would show in the stock update errors list. And so all you need to do to fix this one is go into the view map products, find the corresponding product, and delete that mapping. And then if it does exist on both systems with the correct matching SKU or barcodes, you can then just run through the download products process again to remap them. If you have the inventory item does not have inventory tracking enabled error, on Shopify, for each product, there is a tick box to allow inventory tracking. This lets Shopify know that Cin7 wants to control and update the stock. So make sure that is turned on if you do indeed want to send stock from Cin7 to Shopify for that product. If you do not want Cin7 to control the stock for that product and it's throwing this error, then that is fine. It is doing its job and not letting Cin7 update it. However, you're just going to have to put up with that error being there. For base option values provided for one unknown option, as I mentioned earlier for the product setup, that means that, say, your option 1 label, option 2 label doesn't have a name. So on Shopify, they also have variants where you would put the name of that actual option, so be it a color or flavor, and then under that it would have the individual colors, say blue, red, and green. So on Cin7, again, you just need to make sure that your labels do have a corresponding name. And then on top of that, if you are using multiple options, so your options 1, 2, and potentially 3, you need to make sure that they are all unique. If you have the same options on both of them, Shopify doesn't know what to do with that because it doesn't know where it should should assign each of those options. And then the variant default already exists. If you have a option label name, then the system assumes that you would also have a value for that option. So if you have an option label name of color, but for a product option, you haven't given it a color, it's just blank, Shopify will default that to the word default. And so if you have multiple options and they all get assigned default, again, it'll assume they're all the same and throw an error that, hey, this already exists. And then lastly, input string was not in correct format. So this is usually something to do with spreadsheets, especially Excel, where if you have, say, a long string of numbers, usually because of a barcode, it can try shorten or concatenate the data in that cell, and it can come up with a plus E and maybe followed by a number of how many values it's cutting off. If you're not going through and adjusting the cell information to not have this and you upload it to Cin7, that plus E character will be there, and then it will no longer match what's on Shopify and throw a mapping, or in this case, a format error. So just be careful when you are doing things with data in Excel or other spreadsheet software that it is all in the correct format, and then you should be fine from there. If you do get any of these errors, again, you can check them from the stock update errors list. Here, if you did have any, it would list the product name and its code along with the corresponding error, and it will also give you an option to reset the errors. The reason why you'd want to reset them is because if there is a product with an error against it in this list, the integration will ignore that product for corresponding functions because it doesn't want that error being thrown again. So if you get an error and you can troubleshoot it and find out what the problem was, what you want to do is then remove that error from the list, make the fix, and then if it's downloading products or updating stock, run that function then. If you run it before removing the error from the list, that product will be excluded from the function as to not throw the error again. And lastly, if you notice at the very bottom, we have gift vouchers. Now, we do sync gift vouchers between Cin7 POS and Shopify. However, Shopify only has gift voucher sync through Shopify Plus. So if you are a Shopify Plus customer, you can utilize this function. However, unfortunately, that limitation is on Shopify's end, where if you're not a Shopify Plus customer, you aren't able to set up this function. Further information on this, again, please consult the help article information or submit a support ticket. We can help you out with that one. And that brings us to the Q&A section, where if you still have lingering questions, please submit them through the Q&A section on the Zoom link, and try keep them as broad as possible to be helpful to everyone. If you have something very specific to your workflow, it would be best to submit a support ticket through our help site, and we can help you with that there. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to submit some tickets, some questions or tickets, either one, and then we'll address them. I'll pick some to address live, while Callie will be trying to respond to all of the ones that I'm not answering live through text. Cool. Hi, everyone. So I'll just go through some of the questions now. So started off, under the inventory / auto dispatch orders, if I set the option to yes, completed orders only, this will Cin7 auto dispatch when I click fulfilled order on Shopify. So first, the order on Shopify will need to be set as fulfilled before it is downloaded into Cin7, so that when we do download it into Cin7, it is then going through this function and being completed. So it's generally a thing that if it's already fulfilled before coming into Cin7, it will then be completed. And then does the system sync product images? So I'll just try to bring Shopify back up. So yes, it does, and that can come under the product settings. So it depends on the function that you're running, but say you have upload products to Shopify, you can also include images in that. So that is where the product isn't on Shopify yet and you're pushing it through. Or alternatively, you can download images if you are importing the product into Shopify. Sorry, into Cin7. Someone's wanting a bit of clarification on the channels tick box under the classification section within a product. So that's referring to this one here. So again, this just lets Cin7 know what you want, what integration you want this product to be associated with. So this product will then show up in the upload product section of the integrations, as well as any options associated with upload or update options. So it's just letting Cin7 know that I want this product associated with whatever integration has been ticked. Otherwise, Cin7 will just ignore it from any data associated with that integration. What are the main causes for update all stock and update recent modified stock to fail? So for that, if you're talking about failed, that would usually be a timeout error. The two kind of interchangeable words here would be error or failed. Error would usually be a product error. So say it was a not found error because we tried to push stock for a product that no longer existed. But in terms of failed, again, if you hover over this, it will give you some more information. But usually it's either Cin7 or the integration is potentially having a hard time at that moment. And so maybe the server's a bit congested or there's some status issues going on. If it says a timed out error, that just means the function has gone on for too long, potentially due to too many products being within that function. And so the process just basically lasted too long that it timed out. But again, hovering over it will provide you. So when enabling the update pricing to WooCommerce or Shopify section, which price tier will it map? So again, under settings, under products, you then have the update pricing to Shopify where you can assign what Cin7 price tier you want to push as the default price and then the special price as well. So you can assign that there of which one you want to send through. So this one's about credit notes when you do not want to bring the stock back in. So if you don't tick the restock item, it will include the item in the credit note. However, you can just complete it without accepting stock back in. So it's mainly, there's not a huge difference in terms of how it looks in Cin7 as to how the credit note comes in. This is one of those things that you can then go, okay, well, I'm not accepting stock back in for this credit note, so I just won't actually include that quantity received. It will just stay as the line item with a 1 in the first column, but then the second column will be blank and you can just complete it from there. What's the best way to dispatch orders? Should it be through Cin7 or Shopify if we have automated mails and text invoice assigned to Shopify? So for that, there is an option to, I can just try to find it, notify customer on fulfillment. So what this setting allows is it will then send a field to Shopify once you have fulfilled it and sent that back to Shopify saying, hey, this is now complete. And then that should also trigger your automated mails for be it that it's now fulfilled and here's all the information on it. I'm not entirely certain if that would also trigger any text invoices alongside it. But for the most part, if you're wanting Cin7 to be the master of your stock and then also adding additional information to the order, be it like tracking code or carrier information, then completing it and fulfilling it on Cin7, then updating back to Shopify is probably the better way to do it. But again, if you have a specific workflow which requires it to be fulfilled on Shopify first, so you have all your automation that you've built out there to happen, then I guess that is the best workflow for you. So API integration for shipping and auto update tracking ID. Would you suggest into be on Cin7 or Shopify so that automated shipping emails can be sent to customers? Again, I believe that was similar to the question before. So again, with the notified customer on fulfillment, if you're getting the tracking information on the Cin7 order to then push back to Shopify, that should all be sent through. However, if you have a shipping integration outside of Cin7 standard shipping integration partners, and you use a direct API link for that, then that may be different. Although if you are using API between Cin7 and that shipping integration, you can still set the tracking and carrier information to then update from Cin7 to Shopify as well. So for special pricing from one Cin7 system for multiple Shopify sites, such as European, American, Asia, etc. So currently, since if you have those different Shopify sites, they should all have their own Shopify integration channel, in which case you can then just go up to pricing. And for each of those, say you're European, you can choose the special price to be assigned to a different price. Due to the fact that on Cin7 we only have the single actual special price field to set, so only one of these can be set for say a given currency, but you could then have say price AUD or price USD, or have a special version of that as well to then assign for that given integration. Similarly to that, there's can Cin7 consolidate two Shopify stores that have two different selling price currencies, but selling the same products. So yes, again, if they're two different stores, there'll be two different integrations. You can push the same products to both of those stores, but then assign them individual pricing. Cool. So unfortunately, if I didn't get around to answering a question out loud, Kelly's there trying to respond to all that she can. Again, if you have any other specific questions, please reach out to our support through help.cin7.com and submit your questions through there. Next up, we have a guest speaker from Starship, Jennifer. But also, lastly, I just want to remind you that coming up, we have another webinar based on the core module. So that is basically Cin7 itself, how to use the different modules there, how to best utilize the system itself, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of that. So please note down this date and join in on that one as well. And then I believe Jennifer would be starting in a couple minutes. So if you just want to get up, have a stretch, maybe grab a drink before then, please feel free to do so. Yeah, thank you for coming to my part of the webinar, and then we'll just wait on Jennifer for her part. Thanks.
Hi, Michael. It's Jennifer from Starship here. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. I think everyone's having a bit of a stretch, like you said, but we might just start sharing screens.
Perfect. All yours.
Okay, perfect. Just get this up. I don't think you can see my screen yet. Hold on one tick. Try that again. Sorry guys, taking a little while here. Can you see that now?
No, it hasn't come up for me quite yet.
Ah, it's a little strange. Clicking share and it's not.
So it should be clicking share screen, and then it should come up with which particular window you want to share.
Yeah, I've clicked my PowerPoint and for some reason it's not coming up. I'll just go back to this.
Yeah, Jennifer, it's up now, so you're all good.
Can you see the Starship it?
Yes,
Right?
I believe so.
Fantastic.
Hold on, which one's that one? Actually, no, I think that's the web browser there.
It's coming up as a.
Oh, it's gone
Okay.
now.
For some reason, I have to
There we go. There's your
log out
PowerPoint.
and log back in.
Okay.
Doesn't pick it up when I've come in on halfway on the call, I think. Excellent. So did you want me to just kick off now or we?
Yep, no, go for it.
People? Excellent. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. And thank you, Cin7. My name is Jennifer Diaz. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I do get around the country quite regularly. So more than happy to have a chat with any of you afterwards over the phone, over email, and also happy to come out and visit whenever I'm in. We've been partnered with Cin7 for some time now, and we really enjoy this partnership. It really makes things easy for retailers. And I thought I'd just put a couple of slides together to how our integration works and how we can make shipping really easy for you. So our vision is really to empower retailers to do great things. So to let you get back to building a business, growing your business, scaling it. No one really got into e-commerce to do shipping. And essentially we want to help you enable ability to sell faster without having to worry about all of the handling and the manual processing behind shipping. We have about 6,500 customers now in Australia, New Zealand. A lot of big brands that we've listed here, but many, many others across many verticals. This product really well across the industry. There's some pretty big names that we look after at the moment, but we are looking after a lot of startups and smaller businesses as well. So there's not really a minimum size of business or a type of industry that we really can only work with. We are quite broad in the spectrum. And essentially, what are these customers saying? I usually like to start off with, what's the problem that we're solving? Right now, you might have a lot of orders coming through your web store into Cin7 and you're picking, packing that, and then choosing lots of different couriers and trying to work out, when you should use certain couriers and when you should be introducing others, setting up your rules engine, etc. All of that can take a lot of time. And essentially, these clients are saying that they're saving a lot of hours in the warehouse in working out, how to allocate to different couriers, how to print those labels in bulk versus singly, how to send all of the tracking details back through to Cin7 and up to the shopping platform, how to ensure that the customers are being notified by their tracking at various stages of the delivery. All of this can be automated at the click of a button. It really is that easy with Starship It. And because we're integrated with Cin7, it makes it even easier. So who are we integrated with? Cin7, obviously, and all of the different shopping platforms that come in. I won't spend too much time on this. Move into the workflow. You might have a web store, or you might be doing some, you might also have B2B deliveries. But all of these orders essentially come in from some source, either your web store, your phone, your emails, your distributors, etc. All of that data comes in from these platforms into Cin7. Cin7 then, through our direct extension with Starshipper, sends through and push through all of those orders regularly. So that data is coming in all day long through your Starshipper platform. You can pull and you can import at any given time, but if you don't, it's just coming in and flowing into our platform. And we basically then are integrated with pretty much all the major couriers in Australia, and I'll take you through that in a moment. We set up some rules as to how those orders should be allocated. So you might be using Australia Post for some of your domestic, you might be using Couriers Please for other areas of domestic, you might be using DHL for international, for example. You set up rules of when to use that, and I'll take you through how easy that is. And essentially, we then generate the tracking number and your labels come out automatically. That tracking number then gets sent back to Cin7 to then update stock levels and order status back to your platforms. So it's really that easy. It's automatic. There's no API or development work that you need to run through. These are the couriers that we are integrated with. There are a few others as well. For a moment. So you can see all the major domestic and international couriers. We've also got FedEx and UPS going live end of this month. So it is quite extensive. We are very big partners of Australia Post and global partners of DHL. Also have significant partnerships with the other couriers as well. And when we say that we have the most integrations, that's across the couriers, but also their services. So as you know, a courier might have, 10 to 15 services, for example, anywhere from standard to express to next day to same day, twilight, Saturday deliveries, etc. So we have all of those services integrated. So it's really a nice way for you to offer customers choice at checkout. Right now, you might only be offering 1 or 2 courier services or 1 or 2 delivery options. And if you want to extend that, that's an option as well. And we can facilitate that. So just to give you an idea at checkout, what we can do. So there's a couple of different things. We can support your flat rate shipping if that's what you have, but we can also provide live checkout pricing and postage rate calculation, and that's because we have a direct API integration with the couriers. So you don't need to upload any pricing tables from your couriers, etc. We pull all of that through your account number, and that's updated automatically. We also do make visible at checkout the delivery options. So if you're only using one service, for example, and then you integrate with us and add 3, 4 more services, that can appear at checkout as well. So you can really utilize and offer customers choice. Once we're looking at dispatch, some of the key benefits are that we're importing orders automatically. So you don't need to download orders onto a CSV and upload it into My Post or My DHL or whichever courier you're using. You don't need to copy and paste addresses. We literally pull all of that, create the shipping label automatically for you. And we can allow you to print hundreds of labels in one click, or you can do a scan and print. So you might want to pick off the shelf and scan a barcode and then print the label. We can support that as well. And we can support things like ship from store or shipping from multi-locations, click and collect, etc. The other benefit is, as mentioned earlier, the tracking details. Once you've got that tracking number, you need to tell customers, that their delivery is on its way. So we can handle all of that, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in a moment. When you're in dispatch, we've got a number of different rules by condition and by action. And this enables you to really set some rules around when you want to use your different courier. A lot of people hold this knowledge on a spreadsheet or on a note at the warehouse dispatch table. This doesn't need to be the case. And this is really helpful for when you've got those peaks seasons, you've got lots of different staff or lots of different temps coming in and out, you don't have to keep retraining them. You can set this up in the system. So you can use, you know, things like country, postcode, item, SKU, order value, the value at the checkout, you know, to really determine when you want to use a particular carrier. Engaging customers is a really big reason why customers like, our clients like using us. At the moment, you're probably sending customers away to courier sites. So if you're using Australia Post, for example, you might be sending them the tracking number and off they go to Australia Post's website to track their order. Why not look at keeping that on your website under your brand, so that they keep engaging with the experience of working with you direct. So the way that we've come across this is we have our direct integration with our couriers. All of the tracking numbers go out branded as you. You can pick a template and not brand it if you like, but most people are branding. And it gives you an opportunity to really personalize. And I'll show you an example of one customer. This is White Fox Boutique. They're a fast fashion company in Australia. And they use their logo. They also like to put you know, direct hyperlinks to their website so that they can continue to shop now. They've also got links to their Instagram, you know, ability to sign up to their social media pages, and they also promote products. And you can click on any of these images and it'll take you back to the web store. So there's an opportunity to keep promoting your site. Some companies do this quite smartly and run promotions. So actually put a little promo code and say, thank you for your purchase. Because you've purchased, we're now going to offer you a discount on these products. Click here. And it's interesting because a lot of people are trying to fight through the clutter of EDMs these days, but these branded emails have a higher rate of click, or a higher click open rate, because people are expecting their product. So that's one advantage of having the branded tracking. Also the simplicity. You can see at the top there's 5 buttons, and it's starting from, you know, pending to dispatched, in transit, out for delivery, and delivered. So we move through all of those different milestones based on all of the different tracking that the courier provides. And underneath that, you've then got, you know, milestone data, you know, times, actual locations, and some descriptions. You can also click through to the courier's webpage, and there's an actual link there that shows you how to do that if you want to. So a lot of customers really enjoy that. The tracking on the email is free. We don't charge any of that. If you do want an SMS to go out, that's 15 cents an SMS. So there is a charge for that. Just moving on to how easy it is. In our settings on our platform, it's literally as simple as clicking at which stage of the journey you want these to go out. Now, what a lot of our customers really enjoy is that we have a printed option. Most couriers will send out their first tracking event once the parcel's been picked up. Some couriers don't even do a pickup scan, and it won't be till it arrives at their depot that first scan goes out, which means from the time that the customer's purchased, there's a lot of waiting around time. It could be a day, a couple of days, depending how quickly that process happens from, you know, pick and pack to dispatch. But it also means a lot of customers are sending emails through saying, oh, just checking, did you get that? Are you processing it? When's it being picked up? So this is a great way to eliminate a lot of those where's my parcel question by proactively sending out all of these details, starting from the printed option. That means that they've got a tracking number and that they know that it's in good hands. Yes, it might be being picked and packed, but at least they know that it's moving through, you know, through the process. You also have an option to pick up from store if you have stores. And there's also an option in our settings to create a return label. So once it's been delivered, we can enable an option where if you're offering free returns, where we can produce a return label, and they can drop it off at the post office or arrange a pickup with certain couriers that we've set this up with, making that return process a lot easier, and also eliminating them having to email your customer service or hop onto a portal of some sort. This is a returns piece that I mentioned here. So essentially, once it's been delivered, this will come up. It'll ask for their email and reason for return, and it'll be able to click a button to email that return label, and then off they go. They pop that onto their parcel and they can drop it off to the post office or arrange for a collection. We've got some reports in our system, although I'm sure Cin7 have fabulous reporting. But we do have a dashboard on our platform which shows you, how many parcels have gone out, when are they being delivered, who have they gone out with, what's ready to be shipped, how many workstations have actually produced and fulfilled the shipments for the day. You can export all of this to an Excel file. I'll just run you through our plans. So our website, I'll show you that shortly, www.starshipit.com has an option for where you can register. It literally takes 30 seconds. There's a free 30-day trial, so we don't take any credit cards at this stage. You can literally plug it in. We'll take you through the process. There's a wizard that shows you how to do this yourself, or you can work with one of our customer success agents. There's free onboarding. Someone will naturally reach out to you, and it's as simple as adding your API keys for your Cin7 and then adding your couriers, and within the day you can see all your volume moving in and how easy it would be to basically print and manage those labels. We're a flat rate, simple SaaS platform. We don't charge any cents per shipment, unlike some of the other enablers or resellers. We don't resell freight either. So we purely enable and ensure that you have a relationship with your courier, and we facilitate that. And so here are the different packages. You can see, if you're doing, this is probably our most common, up to 4,000 parcels a month, and you're paying that annually, it's $80. Otherwise 120 if you're paying month to month. There's no lock-in contracts, and we're happy to have a chat with you at any time. I'll put my details up here. Feel free to email me direct, or have a look at our website and get started. I know I've been given a short time frame, so I hope I've finished in good time, Saba and Michael. I'll take questions if you like.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that, Jennifer. We'll give a couple of minutes for any questions that customers or people watching want to submit.
Yeah, no problem. Did you want me to show just what's required from online once you register?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Yep.
Just while we're doing that. Hold on, Monty. I'll just hop online.
And for any of you who want to have Starship added to your Cin7 account as well, you can just go to the App Store that you will find on Cin7 on the left-hand side of the bar. It would probably be, I believe it's the bottom one, and you can just search for Starship there, and you can add it through there, and you can basically just get it up and running very quickly as well.
Okay, I'm just going to screen share. Can you see that, Michael?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So this is just once you log in, what our platform looks like. Look, some people work off the Cin7 platform, some people work off the Starship platform. It's really entirely up to you and your workflow. Once you register, there's a getting started piece that literally takes you through various different steps, how to add Cin7, how to add your couriers, how to set up notifications, branded tracking, etc. It's quite easy to do. Most people sort of self-serve, but we do offer you a dedicated customer success agent that will take you through the process, and we set up a 1-hour walkthrough to do that. Just to show you here the dashboard, essentially if you're on Cin7, this would show up Cin7 here. If you've got any other web stores plugged in as well, it would show where all the data flows in from, and then the summary on your couriers, how many are being shipped, printed and sent out, just a little summary over the month of the volume. In terms of your orders, they come through on this order page here, and you can see this is where everything's coming in from Cin7 automatically. So you can print labels from here, or you can do it from Cin7. Once they've been printed, they move over to printed, and once they've been picked up, they move over to shipped. And it's very easy to validate these. It's as simple as click all of the buttons and toggle. And this shows you, will pull out any sort of bad addresses. At the moment, actually, this is probably not a good example. There's no bad addresses. But if there was, it will pull them up, highlight them in orange and say, would you like me to correct? And that's using our Google API. And that means that you don't have any of those delivery issues or those redirection or those questions. And slowly they move through all of this journey. You can bulk print and click print shipping label, and then all of your labels come out in one go. You can do a quick print where you scan a barcode on your item, and then the label prints out if you're doing that process. Once you move into printed, once you've printed the label, they all move into that section there. And once you've manifested, so you printed a manifest to hand to your different couriers, they move over to shipped. And this is where you start to be able to track. So right now these are showing as printed, but once they've been picked up, they'll move to pick up, right through to delivery. And you can click at any time, any of these orders, to have a look at, you know, what's happened, you know, where is it going to, what stage of the journey it's at, what was inside the parcel, what was the SKU details. Here are the items that were being sent, who are the receiver details, etc. And you can see all of the different timestamps there. So it really allows customer service to use one easy button, which is search, and search across all your different couriers in one hit, as opposed to having to go through various different systems. And you don't need to just search with the tracking number. You can search by mobile, by order number, item number, delivery address, person's name, etc. Makes it really easy. And I won't go through all the details here, but settings is essentially what we do when we take you through our onboarding. So we basically ask you to set your pickup address. Integrations, we would ask you to click on and add your integration. Click on Cin7, and you would literally need your ID number and a key. Once you've got that, all your orders are coming through. It's that easy. And then again with couriers, it would literally be add a new courier, pick the courier that you're using. So you might have Australia Post, for example, and it will ask you for some information to complete: e-parcel account number, API keys, etc. Now, if you don't know all of this, there's a link here and a very easy instruction list on how to do that. And you literally go through that and then pick the different services that you want to enable. You can call these services different things. You don't have to call it their actual product name, so that when it shoots through on your checkout, it's saying something simple like standard or express, overnight or next day or same day or twilight delivery, whatever it is. That makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more user-friendly. Yeah, and look, there's the rules. This is where we would do our rules engine. Your branded tracking pages, quite easy. Anyone can do. You don't need to have HTML skill set at all. It's as easy as adding logo select from your documents. You can put links, you can change colors, you can add all of your social buttons, etc. And then you can preview it and have a look at how, when you're building that out, how that's going to look and play for your customers. So very, very easy. So that's essentially a little bit of a background to how we work. There's a lot to go through here, and essentially we would manage that in the detailed walkthrough that we have for you. Are there any questions? Okay, so we've got some Q&As coming up. I'll just click on that.
Yeah, I believe there's 2 for you there, Jennifer.
I've just clicked on the Q&A, but it's not.
That's okay. I'll just quickly read them out then. So the first one is Starship it available in New Zealand?
Yes, we're available in New Zealand. We have New Zealand Post. We're actually New Zealand Post white label Starshipper. So when you hop onto New Zealand Post, it's actually Starshipper powering that system. But we do have other couriers in New Zealand. We've also launched in the UK, the US, and we have 13 countries in Europe.
Cool. And the final question here is, how do you enable the SMS messages, and how is it billed? Is it per SMS or per delivery?
It's billed per SMS. So you can choose, I'll just show you here under settings. So when you go into choosing at what stage of the journey you would like that to go out, you would pick by ticking the box. And so if it's gone out twice, then you'd be charged per SMS. We do work with some companies who have their own SMS or purchase through a different company. and have their own sort of plans. We don't make money off the SMS, so we're happy to look at using your own providers as well, if that's something that you're interested in doing.
Cool, perfect. Well, wrap it up there. So thank you, Jennifer, and thank you everyone else for coming to the webinar. This has been recorded, so if you've come in partway through and you've missed some of it, or you just want to revisit it or share it to fellow colleagues so they're also up to date on setting up Shopify and Starship and just having everything run smoothly, that will be sent out, I believe, in 1 week. So yeah, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks, Mike.